Welcome back in, y'all. This is video number 2 today. It's basically a follow-up video from the one that we put out earlier, talking about Coach Saban's new role with college sports. But I want to take a look at how is NIL and the transfer portal impacting the education of these students? Are they graduating? Are they getting things done? Because that's something that Nick Saban was very adamant with. He said, man, this stuff is hindering people from getting their education. So we will be taking a look at those numbers and seeing, is that true or is that false? And I've seen so many people saying this on social media in various different places. So I think that it is time that we take a look at it. So as always, y'all, please do make sure to like and subscribe to the channel. We'll start right here. Okay. Everything that we're going to be looking at, we just want the facts. We don't want the fluff. Just give me the facts. So this is from ncaa.org. What you're looking at is a graph that's showing you the graduation rates from 2002 to 2023. Now, this is with all student athletes, okay, in this time period. So in 2002, it was a 74% graduation rate. In 2023, it moved all the way up to 91%. So the transfer portal started in 2018. So we've seen some players that at that time would have been freshmen and then they graduated probably in 2022, or maybe earlier, right? So they were able to graduate with the transfer portal. Again, the numbers are still going up here. And then if you look at NIL, that started in 2021, and the numbers are going up. So we haven't seen players that came in as true freshmen that have graduated. Probably, maybe some people have, but what we're looking at is in 2021, there could have been some seniors that got NIL. They were able to graduate at a higher rate. Or maybe in 2021, they were juniors, so they would have graduated in 2022, higher rate. Or maybe they were sophomores, right? Then they graduate in 2023. So higher rate. That's the whole point, is that it doesn't look like the transfer portal or NIL is slowing things down at all. If anything, it might be having a positive impact on things. So I also want to look at this paragraph right here that we have highlighted, and it's just going on to say that since 2002, players have basically graduated more than graduated more up to 2023 than they have at any other time period. It just keeps on getting better and better. But I want to look at some of these numbers. So with baseball, we see that their graduation rates went from 66% to 91%. That's a huge jump. Now, a big part of the reason for that is whenever we think about NIL and transfer portal, most of us are thinking about football first and then basketball second. But for players that are playing baseball, softball, some of these other sports, they might not be on a full scholarship. So them getting that NIL money, it could maybe help them to pay for their education, or maybe it's just giving them enough money in their pockets that they don't have to worry, they don't have to stress, and maybe they're living well, so they want to stay in school longer. And they say, hey, it's worth it for me to go to class and get all this stuff done because I'm actually making some pretty decent money while I'm doing it. So that makes a whole lot of sense to me to see that number jump up as much as it did. Now, as far as football, this is for the FBS. So the FBS would be D1 single A. That's what Tennessee plays in. The graduation rates went from 63% in 2002 to 84%. That's 21% that it's climbed up now. So obviously things are getting better there too. Looking at FCS, that would be D1 AA. That's increased from 62% to 80%. That looks great. Basketball went from 56% to 86%, so 30%. And then women's basketball went from 80% to 93%. Obviously, as we can see, every single sport has only had an increase and nothing has slowed it down. Like with all the changes, NIL hasn't slowed it down, and the transfer portal hasn't slowed it down either. So I'm going to show you this other one just because I know some of y'all think, well, that's just to 2023. Let's see some more recent stuff. Well, this is as recent as we can get it. This is up to 2024, right? Now, obviously, people will be graduating here very, very soon for 2025. We'll come back and look at these numbers. Once they come out, we'll take a look at it and see, is it still on this steady climb upwards? That would be huge, obviously. But we see that here in 2024 on this graph, it's the same. It's the same info that we just looked at, just on a different graph. This is coming from obviously, this is coming from NCAA, but we're seeing that the rates are still climbing. So that's a very, very positive thing. And I also want to take a look because there's still this narrative being thrown out there about kind of like dumb jocks, right? And I don't see too many, maybe not really too many Tennessee fans. I haven't seen too many of us saying that, but I've seen some other people still kind of pushing that narrative that they just assume that these kids are stupid. Like they're thinking, well, these guys are able to go to college 100% just because they can play sports, guys or gals just because they can play sports. But most of them are very, very smart kids. So I know a lot of people that have played football that are still playing football, that will play football. And I'm talking about college here, but they're all like, I don't know anybody that was just a straight up dummy. I might know two or three people out of I would say close to like 1,000 or more people. that were, yeah, like they're probably not the brightest people. Um, but for the most part, these kids have really good grade point averages. So they're, over a 3.0. Most of them are close to 4.0. So it's not just about, and I think that the colleges are looking for the players with a 3.0 or better average. But either way, this is what you need coming out of high school. This is the bare minimum. So schools will have different, they're going to have different bars that you have to meet, right? So like with P went to Vandy. Vandy, their bar was a lot higher than most of the SECs. Typically, the SEC's bar is going to be very similar to what you're seeing here. But Big Ten, we know that they have some higher standards and things like that. So let's not paint the picture that these kids are just dum dums, right? So this is what they have to do. I don't think that you have to do the ACT or the SAT anymore necessarily, not as far as what the NCAA asks of you. But again, some schools want to see those test scores, right? I know that was a big deal whenever I was coming up. You had to have a good ACT or SAT score along with your core GPA. Now, this is just showing you D2, what their stuff looks like. This is D3. Y'all can pause it, you know what I'm saying, and take a closer look at it. But like I said, different schools will have different measurements and all of that. So oh, you know what, the other thing too, before we get into Tennessee stuff, let me show you what they need to do just to maintain being eligible once they get to college, because there is a standard. Like, you've got to maintain a certain GPA, you've got to take a certain number of hours and all of that good stuff. I hope that I didn't already pass it. Okay, so here it is right here. So maintaining NCAA eligibility, y'all can just look at these numbers and you can see it doesn't look crazy. So if you're talking about just a 1.8, again, that's the floor. 1.8, I mean, that's that's pretty low. I think that you want to be a lot higher than that. So y'all can see how all that looks. It changes year to year, just goes up gradually. So now we can take a look at what Tennessee's looking at from their student athletes. Okay, and this is from their website. I don't know how up to date it is. I'm sure it probably is very up to date. If not, then they probably would have changed it, because their student athletes will be looking at this. So you can see what you have to do to maintain your eligibility at the University of Tennessee. And up here, what you can see is for most student athletes, they have to maintain or they have to be able to pass 6 hours, right? So 6 hours in, you have to have a minimum of 18 credits, right, over the course of a full year. But if you come down here to football is at a higher pace. They've got to be at 9 hours pass. So that's one more class that the football players have to pass. Now, again, y'all probably saying, well, hell, it ain't hard to pass a class. I mean, I'm not going to say that it's necessarily hard, but I'm not going to say that it's easy either, because understand that these guys and gals are not just having to do their schoolwork, they have a full-time job on top of it. So it's not maybe as easy as you might think. So they do have to maintain certain things. And I would say that for the most part, you're not going to see too many people that's really even going to be close to this stuff. Most of the players are going to be well over this, right? Like, again, I'm not sure what the average GPA is with Tennessee's football team, but I'm willing to bet that it's well over, 1.8, right? I'm willing to bet that it's probably over like a 2.5, which again, that's not absolutely great, but they're going to pass. There are doctors that graduated and are practicing, okay, that graduated with a 2.5. You know what I'm saying? Like, so either way, I just wanted to bring that up, because I hate the narrative where people are out here saying that these players are dumb dumbs, that they're stupid, that they're dumb jocks, that they can't handle money, that they wouldn't know what to do with it if they got it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I hate that narrative, because it's not true. These kids are so talented, and it's not just about sports. A lot of them have various different talents too. Like, sometimes they can sing, maybe they can play instruments, maybe they're really good at chess, or whatever. Like, they're not just, these are human beings. And I feel like in some of these situations, people look at them like they're video game characters. You know what I'm saying? Like, they don't have feelings. Like they don't, like they shouldn't be able to earn a wage. Like, that's something that I don't get personally, but hopefully it's something that we won't see a lot of on social media coming from our fan base, because I can tell you that it's not a good look, right? Like, let it come from the other fan bases, from the Georgias and all of that. The players see that stuff, and if we're the fan base that says, "Hey, listen, we are going to stand up for these kids," which I think that most of us are. Like, I'm not trying to, most of us are, but just understanding what you're putting out there, especially if you've got a bunch of Tennessee stuff up on your, page and all that. That's just a bad look on all of us. So I just think that in situations like this, whenever you hear Coach Saban or somebody like Coach Saban, anybody else that comes out and says that, man, this transfer portal and NIL, the players getting paid, that's really hurting their education. And I'm here for their education. You know that that's BS, and you know that you don't want to listen to what he's saying. And now maybe people will understand a little bit more if you didn't get it off of the first video why I do not want Saban to be the one that's calling the shots for all of college sports. Because when if you have to lie about something, like if you're not telling the truth to prove a point, then it's not coming from a good place. So those are my thoughts. Please share yours with me down in the comment section. And as always, y'all, please do make sure to like and subscribe to the channel. We'll see y'all on the next one. Thanks. Peace. Thanks for watching, and please make sure to like and subscribe to the channel because that keeps us growing inside of the YouTube algorithm. And if you did like this video, here's another one that you might also enjoy. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We'll see you on the next one. Peace.